How do I unmute my mic? Oh shit.
Can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Okay, you unmuted me, Ikes. Okay. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to today's second class. I hope you all had an amazing day because I did. So just get right into it. Okay. So what to expect today? We'll have a brief recap on last class. We'll talk about creating great experiences. And today we'll also talk about career path in digital design. So you get to know what career paths are there, and then why product design or why UI UX design, and then the skills you need to have as a designer, and also how to upskill yourself and grow in this career path. And then we'll talk about our weekly task. Okay, so we'll just get right into it. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so um okay, just a quick recap about last class. I don't know. I guess all of us here we must have attended last class. So I just need one person. You can just raise up your hand. Just one person that can give a very short, brief overview on what we talked about last class with your previous mentor. I know I spoke last class too, but just one person. If I can see some hands raised, anyone can just share what we talked about in last class. Sorry, Ikes, I don't know if anyone's um okay, can you all hear me? Is someone saying something?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I was saying if anyone can tell me or can tell us, give us a brief recap of last class. I want to be sure that some people were following what Favor talked about and what I also explained. Just a very brief recap. If anyone's hands are raised, just one person so we can just save time.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good
Okay,
afternoon. Just your name, please, so we can know who is
my name is
speaking.
Frida Tibuzo. Frida.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, in the last class, it was Fiho, I think, that took us in the last class. She basically talked about the fundamentals of UI UX design. And she said UI UX is likened to a person's character, while UI is likened to a person's looks. And she gave us the design processes, which are defining the problem, collecting information, brainstorming, analyzing, developing solutions, and presenting your ideas to others to give you feedbacks and also improving your design in the process. And also, she also gave us key business questions to ask a UI UX designer. She spoke on how um, how effective or how okay, how does a user need the product you are making? Do they want it enough that they will either pay for it, or if it is free, would they actually spend their time looking at it? And she also asked if, and she also talked about if there is any missing key feature they will need, and if spending time building features, and if there is a need, or if you're actually doing features they will actually need or they will not need, something like that. Sorry if I am sounding um somehow. So that's basically what she said. And she Basil spoke about the design elements, which are colors, typography, iconography, imagery, grades and layouts and languages. And we also looked on the good UX and bad UX and spoke on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Freda. Awesome. That was really awesome. That means at least like lots of odds were really following. Great, great. Okay, so just get started on what we have for today's class. Okay, so today we're talking about, first we'll be talking about creating great experiences. So as a UI UX designer or as a product designer, sometimes we usually have that conversations about being a product or UI UX designer. But at the end of the day, you're creating great experiences on digital products. So we're talking about ways in which you can create great experiences. And we must also remember that our users are human beings. We are designing for human beings, not robots. We are designing for human beings that have emotions, that have feelings, that have needs, that have wants, right? So how do we create great experiences so that it is not stressful to them. There is no cognitive load. Like when you're on a screen, you know the next thing you want to do without being confused on maybe the kind of text that is being written or something of the sort. So there are just few guidelines which I just listed down here, which we'll talk about in the course of this class. So, firstly, we should know that a great user interface or a great user experience focuses on anticipating what your users might need to do, right? So, as a designer, you're anticipating that, okay, when users come on this platform or on this screen for the first time, this is what they want to do. So, that is where empathy comes in. So, you're putting yourself in the shoes of over 1,000 users or over 500 users or over 200 users, right? To anticipate what they want to do. And this brings together different concepts that has to do with interaction design, visual design, which is what we talked about in the last class, as well as information architecture, how you're going to arrange the information on a screen so that, you're not just designing you're not just designing an empty space. Like whatever screen you're designing or whatever interface you're designing has to do with a lot of information, what you want them to do. So all the information has to come together in a way that it's making sense, right, to a user or to your users. So it has to do with interaction design, how users are interacting on the platform from this screen to the previous screen, from this screen to what other screen. The visual design too is inclusive, like we talked about colors, fonts, typography, and all of that. Okay, so we'll just go on to one of the guidelines. So one of the guidelines is you need to place your users in control of the interface. You need to place your users in control of the interface. Every user wants to feel that they have complete control of the interface, right? So if, for example, I am on a screen and maybe I decided to delete, maybe to just delete whatever, when you're just being asked, okay, do you want to delete this? So there is an opportunity for you to undo what you have done before. That is a good UI, right? Because it is being forgiving. Over time, design has evolved and we now have opportunities where people can undo what they have done. We all see that even in our Google Mails, right? But before it was not there. So design evolves over time. Is someone saying something? I can hear a background. Okay, I think I could just proceed. Okay, so every good user interface has to make the user to feel a sense of control because it makes them comfortable. It makes your user comfortable that they know that, okay, whatever thing I want to do in this interface, I am in control of it. I can decide to do this without being scared that, okay, if I make this particular action, if I take this particular action, it's going to backfire, right? So a good experience, or when creating great experiences, you need to make sure that your users are in control of their interface. Another one is create an easy to navigate interface. Just like what we can see here, this screen here to the right, you can see that we have delivery, we have confirmation, we have payment, and then we have finish. And just looking at this now, definitely this is like a payment gateway, right? So me as a user now, I know that, okay, if I'm on this delivery page, I have like 4 other pages to go. It's usually very frustrating when maybe you're trying to fill out a form on the internet, for example, and then you now observe that as you're filling the form, this first screen, you're still getting details. Before you know it, you're going to the next screen and they're still asking you plenty questions. So a good interface should be easy to navigate. So I can know that, okay, I have 3 other steps to take. Then I know that I'm done with checking out, right? Not I'm on this page and then I'm filling out my details. The UI takes me to the next page and then I just continue doing it. At some point, I may just decide to just log out. But if you notice in this situation now, you can see the red dot here. It shows that, okay, this user has done delivery, this user has confirmed, this user has done payment and is about to finish, right? So users should be able to enjoy exploring the interface of any software product. Like it should be very enjoyable to be on. Okay, so it puts their users in a comfort zone by providing some context of where they are, where they have been, and where they are going to. So I'm not just in the middle of nowhere. No, as a designer, when creating great experiences on the software products, I'm able to create an easy to navigate interface. Okay, so I can tell my user, this is what you're doing now, this is where you were before. Like if I want to go back to the previous screen, I could just tap on confirmation, right? And then I go back, maybe I want to make some edits to maybe whatever thing I was ordering for, right? And then I know that okay, I can go to the next page, make all my changes and all of that. Okay, so another guideline is keeping things simple. I know we all know this acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right? Okay, so one of the ways to create a beautiful and a great experience on any digital interface is by keeping things simple. As we can see here to the right, I really intentionally put all these images, images speak 1,000 words. I don't just want to just say them. Like when you see it and you visualize it, you get a better picture of what I'm trying to say. Okay, so as we can see these two images here, we have the first one here that really looks jumbled up, lots of questions and answers. And we have the other email here that just is very simple, your name, your email address, your requirement details, and then you submit. And if you notice now, as a user, if I'm being given these two options, like choose one of them, definitely I can just quickly put in my email address, put in my name, type what I want to request for, and then I just submit, right? It doesn't take me time. So it's usually important to keep things simple. I know you want to put all the boxes, you want to put all the icons, great images. Remember we talked about visual hierarchy in the first class, right? So obeying one of the laws of design that says visual hierarchy is very important. You're not just mixing everything together. Okay, what do I want my users? Sorry, can you mute your mic? I don't know who's saying something. Okay. Thank you. All right. So you need to keep things very simple. Okay. So I know that I want to add your put your name, put your phone number, put your email address, put all the details. But at the same time, I'm careful to be sure that okay, I don't just mix everything up and everything just looks so overwhelming for myself as a user. I try to put everything very simple. If it means you breaking your content into different pages, also being this particular factor, just like this screen we have here, if you notice what must have been in delivery, confirmation, payment, the designer did not just put everything together. No, he or she, okay. So the designer broke each of those details, information architecture, breaking each of them into bits of information. Okay, I want this information to be on this same page, on this first page, and then I want the next information to be on another page, right? So you're keeping things very simple. That's one of the ways to create a very great experience on a digital interface. Then another one is provide informative feedback, be acknowledging. I've come through some platforms where maybe I decide to send money, right? And then they don't give me feedback like, okay, the money has been sent, or okay, this PDF you're uploading, okay, you have 20% gone or 30% gone, or I'm just confused, I'm just standing there. No, to create a great experience, it's very important to provide informative feedback. Be acknowledging every step of the way as a designer. Okay, this is what you have done, this is what you're doing, this is where it's leading you to. Just like this image we have here to the top left, we have uploading one item, and then you can see that they are telling you this is what is happening. You're uploading one item, you have less than a minute left. You can see this loading icon here. It shows that okay, very little has gone. You can also choose to cancel. So it's being forgiving at the same time. So you can choose to cancel whatever action that is taking place. You know that okay, this is what is happening, and right, it is a good experience because you're able to know what is happening in the system at that point in time. So a system with feedback for every action helps users to achieve their goals without friction. And remember, as designers, we are not designing for ourselves. We are designing for people who want to come and make use of the platform. So if they are not able to reach their goal, if they are not able to maybe create an account, or maybe send money or receive money, or do whatever task we want them to do as product owners, or as a team, we are failing as designers. So it's very important to provide informative feedback, be acknowledging at every step of the way. Also, we also have this icon here that shows submit. You can see the correct, right? So as a designer, you're designing in different all the user states. Don't worry, as time goes on, we'll talk about user states, because designers design every user state. You can just scribble that down and maybe check it out, maybe your own personal time, user state in design. So there's a loading stage, there's a confirmation stage, there's an empty stage, all those states are there. And you design them knowing that, okay, your user is going to go through each of these states while trying to perform a particular action. So you make sure that you provide informative feedback as the time goes on. Okay, so just for feedback, you all can hear me, right? Just one person. You all can hear
Go
me.
Yes,
I
ahead.
please.
keys. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, you all can hear me, right? Sorry, I just had to quickly check something. Okay, so you can also see this other screen here to the top right below. We have the upload successful. It's still similar to everything we've talked about here, like giving informative feedback to your users, which is very, very important as a designer. Okay, so we'll go to the next one, which is okay. I think it's the same thing. I just wanted to make it clearer. Like we still have the uploading one item, less than a minute left. So it's still about providing informative feedback, be acknowledging at every step of the way. Okay, so we now have providing visual cues. Let's take, for example, I guess most of us here have tried filling out forms on the internet or maybe including your password. And then as a first timer or as a first timer using a product, you guys or you all like the team they're not informing me that okay, you need to put in a number, put in a text, put in a character, put in so many things. I'm not being informed, and then in my mind I just put okay, I could just type 1234, and then when I type 1234 I'm being told that oh, this password is wrong, you need to include this, you need to include this. No, I may actually feel frustrated because users don't have 60 minutes of their time. They just want to do a task and leave the product quickly. So it's very important to provide visual cues. Once they even tap on maybe typing their password, the next thing we are seeing is okay, you need to add at least 8 characters, you need to put one uppercase, you need to put at least one phone number. The design is being the experience is really awesome because I'm being provided visual cues on the way. So I just had to put this example here where we have the password. So you can see that the designer has included, okay, add at least 8 characters, put in one uppercase, at least one number. It's very seamless and it's easy. And one thing that really stands out is the fact that your design has to be easy to navigate, which is one of the things we talked about, right? So everything is still working in tandem, but just take note of these little ways to create great experiences on digital interfaces. Okay, so the next one is reducing cognitive load. There's a book we would all read as time goes on. The name of the book, I have read it, is Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug. This is an amazing book for designers because your users don't want to come to your platform and then they're thinking of what to do. Or maybe they don't understand the text being written there, the microcopy. Microcopy is text, but we'll use those terminologies, microcopy, right? Okay. So reducing cognitive load in the sense that you're designing in a way that even your youngest brother or your oldest, like maybe your grandmother in the village, right? They can access this product and do whatever task we want them to do without thinking twice. If you notice, we have two icons here. One is shopping center, one is shopping cart. We're all used to shopping carts, okay? And I think there's an article I read, and then they were saying, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. Well, there's still the part for invention, like, evolving, design evolves every day. But if you know that on most platforms, like let's just take this visual journey together. On most websites, you will see that the logo is usually to the top left. And then you now, as a designer, you want to work on this amazing project and you feel like you can just maybe put the logo to the right or, just scatter things around. No, you're not obeying one of the design principles because you need to be in tandem with, okay, this is the trend, this is what is happening in the digital sector. So reducing cognitive load, you know that users are used to the terminology shopping cart and probably this type of icon, and then you decide to do something else. You may be stressing your users because they are used to, familiarity in UX is one thing too. You're familiar with a particular flow or how maybe e-commerce websites really look like, or how a shopping an online shopping mall looks like. Okay, so when you're used to how such products look like, you follow same. We're not saying you copy it. No, you're just being familiar with the user experience. It helps reduce cognitive load on your users. Okay, so we'll talk about the career paths in digital design. So we have product designer. It's a career path. We have UI designer and we have UX designer. Like these are three different career paths, and I will explain all of them um shortly. So one can actually choose to focus on user interface design. Like you can just choose to focus there. There are people who choose to focus on UI design. There are people who choose to focus on UX design. But as a product designer, you encompass all of those together, right? So being a product designer, you're not just designing the user interface and designing the user experience alone. No, you're owning the product as your own. So you're involved with the business part, right? So how do we launch this product to the market? Are we sure this product is giving value to the users? Okay, what feedback do we have from the user researchers? What feedback do we have from the user testers? What feedback do we have from the stakeholders? How can we make these products better? You're not just designing the user interface like a one-time gig. You just design the interface and the experience. You give it, you just hand it off and you leave it. No, you're owning the product, making sure that this product is actually doing what you and the product owners, the stakeholders, everyone wants it to be. So the product is coming to life. Okay, it is doing what we want it to do. At the same time, the business part of it, we are not losing customers, we're not losing money. So as a product designer, you're doing everything. Okay, but as a UI designer, you can just decide to just focus on the interface, which, well, we don't just have people who are just singularly UI designers. Well, they could be there, but you'll be at a disadvantage. That's why in this track here, we didn't just say UI design track, UX design track. No, you're learning everything together because they all go in tandem. So those are like the few career paths in digital design. We still have the graphics design and all of that, which we are not focusing on for this bootcamp. Okay, so why UI UX design? Like why UI UX design? What are the like why would someone choose to go into UI UX design? Because people usually ask that question. Like why shouldn't I go into this or whichever way it works, but we'll just talk about why UI UX design, okay? So as a designer, you have an opportunity to make an impact. I'm trying to say this now to broaden your mind so you can know that you're not just learning it to make money. Yeah, we know there's a part of making money, which is awesome, like perfect, right? But you have an opportunity to make an impact. So imagine the designers who designed Facebook, WhatsApp, like some of these great products we're using. They feel fulfilled. Should I use the word fulfilled? Okay. But they're able to contribute their own quota to making the society a better place, okay, to add value to people. So as a designer, you have an opportunity to make an impact. You can decide to work on a passion project. Maybe, there could be a challenge you just observe in the society, right? You can decide to maybe health, telemedicine. There's so many aspects, but as a designer, with the skill you have or with the skill you're going to get from this code camp as time goes on, you have an opportunity to make an impact. It's also in high demand. Like it's also in high demand. We put this in here because there are some people who they are not really sure of why they want to do design. They could just be here tomorrow, they will be in different tracks, but you need to know what you're coming into. So you know that okay, this is what I want to do and this is where I'm going to be. Okay. So designers are in high demand. That one, I can't even overemphasize it. In every aspect of life, people need designers. Medicine, agriculture, real estate. I want to design an app. I want to build a website. I want to do this. I want to do that. How do you think we can make the experience better? So designers are in high demand. It's also very lucrative. Designers are well paid and great. Okay, and also we also have solving problems. Sorry, someone saying something. Sorry, someone saying something. Or do I proceed?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So we also have the ability to solve problems. So as a designer, you're solving problems in your immediate society and in the society at large. So those are one of the prospects on the design, on the UI UX design career path. Okay, so we'll talk about the skills you need as a UI UX designer. This is important to know at this early stage. So you know what you need to improve on, what you need to reduce, what you need to work on as a UI UX designer. So we'll talk about the soft skills you need as a designer. So the first one here is you need to be empathic. Empathy. Empathy is a very important skill a designer needs to have because as a designer, we would always say you're not designing for yourself. In your own eye, this could look very beautiful. I remember when I worked on a project and then I shared it to the product owners and stakeholders and all, and they were just giving me lots of feedback. In my mind, this is supposed to just go well though, because are the colors no okay? Is it not communicating what we want them to do and all that? And they are giving me feedback, right? So I now have to be empathic to know that, okay, I'm not designing for myself. If I've done lots of user research and then I've gotten feedback from people and they've said, okay, this is what needs to be done, this is what we think should be removed. Yes, that's where empathy comes in, putting yourself in the shoes of your users. We know it's very, very hard to um we know it's very, very hard to um should I use the word please everyone? I don't want to say the word please everyone, but but I know it's hard to please everyone. You can't please everyone as a designer, we agree. But at least a greater percentage of people that you want to that are going to have value for this product. So those are the ones you're focusing on, right? So empathy is very important because you're putting yourself in the shoes of a thousand of people and then you're saying, okay, this is how they would feel if they're using this product. What if I'm designing something that has to do with people who are colorblind? How do I design this product that it is really accessible to them? Like the product is being inclusive. So they are able to do whatever task they want to do without the colors disturbing them, right? So that's where empathy comes in, ability to put yourself in the shoes of others. Okay, so you're able to design a product that is awesome. So another skill is being collaborative. Collaboration is a very important skill because no man is an island. Now you're here in CodeCamp, interact with people, collaborate on tasks. If you meet you to find a peer, okay, ask questions, get to, you cannot just sit down and say, no, I'm just going to watch YouTube videos, I'll just stay on my own, I don't need to get feedback. No, 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 you need to collaborate. Because even at some point when you start getting roles or maybe you get employed in companies, you will talk to developers. Me that usually myself, like me and developers, we usually have our own conversations because some developers will develop what you did not design. You need to now discuss with them, please, can you do this, can we talk about this well? Okay, so you need to learn how to collaborate. No one is fighting you. They all want their voices to be heard. You will talk to your stakeholders, you will talk to investors. So as a product designer now, not just UI UX designer, you will speak to investors. Okay, this is why I feel we should implement this feature, this is why I feel this should happen. Okay, so that's where communication comes into. You need to communicate, express your feelings in a proper way. It's not like fights, like, okay, this is what I feel we should add. Someone tells you, okay, gives you feedback, you receive the feedback beautifully. Okay, thank you for your feedback, this is what I feel. Okay, so you're communicating well. It's one of the skill you need to have as a UI UX designer. And then curiosity, 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 curiosity. Like we are learning every day. Right now, so many trends are coming up. You need to know, okay, what is happening in this field. Okay, you don't just say, okay, I've learned everything now, this is where I'm going to stop. No, you aim for getting more knowledge because you cannot, sometimes when we have all these role openings, they'll say, okay, ability to design using Figma, using Adobe XD, and you just be wondering, but I know just Figma. No, you cannot just know Figma. Okay, you should try to know, okay, what is the next thing I could learn? You can learn how to use Adobe XD. We're not saying you're being a jack of all trades, you're being curious to learn more things, right? So you can learn how to use Figma. You're able to stretch. Every human has the ability to stretch. So curiosity is a very important skill. I intentionally included this curiosity. So you don't just feel redundant and say, okay, I've learned this one. No, every day things are learned, things are evolving. Information is being spread every day. So you need to be curious to learn new trends and new things. Okay, so that's about the soft skills. Then we'll talk about the technical skills one needs to have. One of the skills here is visual design. You need to have a good eye for visual design. Everything can be learned. When people say, I don't have, I feel I may not understand how a good design should look like. No, you can learn everything. You mustn't necessarily have done maybe some technical courses in school or, while growing up. Everything is learnable. So one of the skills one needs to have is visual design. There are courses online. We're also going to teach all of those here in KodeCamp. Okay, so visual design is one of it. User research is one of it. User research, like ability to get feedback from your users, implement it, which is a very broad course on its own, right? There are people who just focus on user research and there are people who just focus on UI UX design. But as a product designer or as a UI UX designer, like even when you get all the data and all the feedback from the findings you've gotten, okay, you need to now go back to your drawing board and ask yourself, okay, which of this information are we going to implement in this feature? Which of these are we going to discard? Which do we think is going to help the business and also help our users at the same time, so that one part is not lagging. Okay, so you also need to learn how to design from an idea to screen. So just imagine as a designer, you're being given a project, just a design brief, okay, just a document. We want to design an application that helps people to maybe do this, create an account, that helps people to save money, invest money, share money to friends and all that. So you're being given the idea. So you need to have the ability to, sorry, sorry. Okay, Okay, so one needs to have the ability to, what's happening? Could it be my screen? Hold on a bit, please. Okay, yeah, I was saying something about designing from idea to screen. So there's the ideation part. I think next week or so we'll talk about design thinking. So how do you bring all these ideas to life? So it's one skill one needs to have. Like, okay, when I'm being given this product or I'm being given this project to work on, how do I start from what's the first thing that has to be done? Okay, where would this lead to? You're sketching on paper. I do lots of sketching because sketching is life to me. Okay, sketching, wireframing. Okay, so how do I start from this? So you're bringing the idea to your screen, to your Figma board, or to your Adobe XD board, or as the case may be. Well, we're using Figma. Okay, so I'll just be mentioning Figma most of the times. Okay, so another skill is also information architecture, the ability to arrange the information you want to put out there on whatever screen. Okay, so this is what I want to be on this screen. Maybe we want to ask users for their name, their first name, last name, phone number. So how do we arrange it? Do we put email address first? Is there a reason why I want email address to be first? Or do we ask for first name and last name first? Or do we ask for phone number? Or do we just ask for phone number and email address? Okay, so all of those details, how do we arrange that information? It's it's um it's a product of both user testing, it's a product of your design thinking, it's a product of empathy. What do we think users want to do first? Okay, and then we arrange the information in a proper way. That's information architecture. And also one of the skills one needs to have is workflow skills. Sorry, just for feedback, you all can hear me, right?
Yes, go
You
ahead.
all can hear me. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, one of the skills too is workflow skills. Workflow in the sense that we can also call it user flow, right? So from this screen to another screen, how are we arranging it? Like that's where the user experience too comes in, because you're not just going to put what is supposed to be in front, you put it at the end. No. And we're all going to talk about all of those during the course of this class, but I just want you all to know what we are what we are in for. Okay. So workflow skills, user flow skills is one of the skills one needs to have. Okay, and then we have interaction design, how components, how elements, how screens interact with each other. Okay, is one of the skills too that one needs to have. Interaction design, how do we interact, or sorry, how would these elements interact with these other elements? Or when the screen is loading, is it just going to be showing circle turning round, or are we going to have maybe loading states? If you notice, okay, I guess all of us are on Facebook, right? Okay, so if you notice, when you open your Facebook, both on your phone or on your system, you would see some very light rectangles. I'll just be loading gradually from maybe from the left to the right. Over time, it wasn't there, but it gives your users ability to know that, okay, this is what they're expecting to see, right? So that's like interaction design. Even while the network is lagging, Nigerian network is, showing who it is, you're still seeing, okay, they're just keeping you company that, okay, this is what is going to show. That's about like interaction design also. Okay, so we would talk about self-improvement techniques. Okay, so you're all starting out as designers. How can you make yourself better? Take a class, which is like what we are having here in this boot camp. Okay, take a class. There are so many courses on the internet. Take courses. Don't get tired of saying, okay, I'll just follow what they're teaching me here. Try to expand, like ask questions, take up classes. There are free classes, they're the ones that could be paid for. You could have sponsors, right? Well, we all have sponsors some way or somehow. Okay, so network with other professionals. There's Twitter, there is LinkedIn. Don't just, some people will say they don't have an account on LinkedIn. What's that? Try to network. Create an account. It's free. Create an account. You're making maybe a daily post. I did this today on KodeCamp, or I learned this today on KodeCamp. You're putting yourself out there. One of the ways you can improve, you're putting yourself out there. You're networking with professionals. If it means you to follow them on Twitter, on Instagram, or LinkedIn, as the case may be, follow their updates. People are always dropping nuggets. Even me, I follow lots of people. I'm getting to learn every day, because I cannot say, oh, this is where I am, I'm going to be here. There's a lot of things to learn in tech. Okay, so ask for feedback, and ask for feedback again. Emphasis on the feedback, because feedback is an avenue for growth. You can't just say you have worked on this and then this is perfect. You can ask for feedback from your mentors, from your peers, even from social media, right? We usually see that on Twitter. Someone could just design something and say, okay, please give me feedback, please give me feedback. People will drop what they think. It's your own job now to select which you think is important to you in this career journey. Okay, but these are like some few self-improvement techniques. Okay, another one is research new design tools, which we can still tie down to what we talked about in the few previous slides about curiosity, right? So you're researching to know new design tools. What are the new design tools out there? Figma has introduced FigJam. You can try out FigJam. It's free. I think it's free, okay? So that if you're discussing with people and they're like, oh, there's this new design tool. What's the name? FigJam. Oh, what is it about? You're improving yourself. You're not just redundant and stay in one place. No, it doesn't help you grow as a designer. So these techniques is both to you all and to myself. Okay, so now Google is your friend. Google is your friend. Like whatever question you want to ask someone, be sure that you've asked Google and Google did not give you a proper answer, because Google has a wealth of information that we cannot just exhaust, right? Whatever challenge you have, your mentors are there, like even your friends and you professionals in the field. But learn to ask questions on Google. You can try to do your own personal research. It really helps, and it really does a whole lot. Okay, so those are like these few self-improvement techniques. I know there are a lot of them out there, which we can all check out. Okay, so we'll talk about the tools to learn with for this bootcamp, or even as a designer. So there is Figma. It's an online collaborative platform. Figma, Figma. Okay, which we'll be using for this bootcamp. I think Favor said it in the previous class. Okay, we also have Adobe XD. We also have Miro. We have FigJam. We have Adobe products. You can choose to personally learn all of these. you're just getting to know a little bit about how Adobe products work, you know, maybe Photoshop for maybe your mockups. All those amazing mockups when you're done designing stuff. We know we have the plugins on Figma, awesome, but you can just learn some of these tools. Like it just gives you an added advantage. Okay, and then we have Google. Learn how to use Google. Google is a great tool. Google is a great tool in this design career path. Okay. All right, so we'll just talk about week one task. But before then, do I have any questions? I think if you have questions now, you could ask before we talk about our first task. Let me see. Any questions so far?
Okay, yeah, Samuel, go ahead.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, ma'am, we talked about the different career paths in digital design.
Okay.
You said something about project design. Product.
Yes.
Yeah. So something I got one part confused there because before now I've been hearing stuff about product manager, so like the overall overseer of a product
Okay.
that is about to be pushed out. So now their functions is like gray. I do not understand like the difference between the two jobs now. Let's just say jobs.
Okay, so the difference between a product designer and a product manager, right? Sorry, am I muted?
Yes. Other than that, I have another question, but can we just like answer that one first?
Okay, so a product manager manages a product designer. Okay, so I'll give you this answer based on what I think, right? You can do your personal research, but just for the sake of everyone here. Okay, so a product manager is also managing a product designer because the product manager doesn't just manage a designer. The product manager also interfaces with the developers, with the marketing team, with the user research team, user testing team. So you're managing the product. Like um how can these products be of value to our users? Okay. And at the same time, it is also being of benefit to the business part. So the business objectives are still being met. Okay. So but the product designer is interfacing between, you can also say that, okay, let me put it this way. The product manager, okay, manages the product designer, also manages the developers, gets feedback from each of them. Okay, well, how about the marketing team? Okay, what are we putting out there to make sure that this product is actually being launched, and the product is actually doing what we want it to do. Okay, so the product manager is doing more than just the product designer. The product designer just has to do with the design alone. Like how can we make this design come into life? Okay, and then it's doing all what we want it to do, both in the business part. So now it's really quite dicey because everything is interwoven. At the end of the day, they all have a goal to make sure that this product is being launched into the market. Okay, the users are being satisfied. Also, at the same time, the business part is not suffering. But the UI UX designer is just doing UI and UX. What all of those other things in front may not necessarily be their responsibilities. Okay, so the product manager interfaces with both the marketing team, the developers, user research. You're getting feedback from all of these places. The product metrics, how can we make this product better? Looking at the business metrics too. So it's really a broad responsibility one takes into. I don't know if that has answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Awesome, thank you. So you said you had a second question, right?
Yes. The other time we also said something about soft skills and technical skills, and
Okay.
they have different underlining. So
Okay.
it occurred to me to ask that, is there like a pattern through which you can like learn them? Is there a pattern to it? Is there like a let's say step by step, or which one Which one should you like just look into first?
Okay, like that's based on soft skills and technical skills,
And
right?
technical skills. Yes.
Okay, so your question is there a pattern? Like which should you learn first? Is that your question?
Yes. Yes.
I would say both of them are interwoven because being a great communicator, like okay, let's say for example now, you want to you want to employ someone. Sorry, what's your name, please? Let me just put the name behind the voice.
Samuel. Samuel
Okay,
Bakola.
Samuel. Okay, awesome. Okay, so Samuel, you want to employ someone into your team. He has great technical skills. Okay, he can do the user research, he can design from an idea to screen, but he's not good in communicating. Like, how would you how would you be able to, interact with that person to say, okay, we feel like we should include this feature in our website, and then the person doesn't even want to listen to you. Excuse me. So I feel like the both skill sets are needed because as a designer, you need to learn how to collaborate. You should also know your onions. It's not so if you're asking about the path one can take, like I think there are courses where people can learn soft skills, how to properly communicate, how to talk. There are people who are naturally born that way, like they know how to, they have listening ear, while there are some people that are very, very, stubborn to deal with, but they know the skill well. So, but when when they are able to get feedback, okay, I feel you should work on this. I've worked with someone before. He is not really great in communication, and it really gave a little bit of rift between us because I want to give you feedback. I want to talk. Let's talk about this feature. What do you think about it? And you cannot just put everything and just say you don't want to listen. No, you need to collaborate. You need to communicate. So I feel like the both skills work in tandem. Yeah. So I don't know if that's answered your question.
Yes. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you too. Does any other one have a question?
Leo, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, good evening, everybody, once again. Please, you talked about workflow skills. Please, I want to just put me through on that workflow skills again. Let me understand what it means really. Did you hear me, please? Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Come again, please.
I said you talked about workflow skills, and I want to know what that means actually, like putting me through all over again.
Okay, so okay, workflow skills. Let me go to that slide. Should it be in front? Okay, yeah, here. Okay, workflow skills. As a designer, so it's also known as, I could also call it user flow, right? So how is this information we have now, how is it going to, should I say, how is it going to flow? Okay, so from what's the beginning and the end, right? So we have the beginning part. So let's say we want to design an app now, or maybe, okay, let me just say I asked you now to design a dashboard, right? A dashboard for me. And I'm a client. I want you to design a dashboard, but I'm not telling you what should lead me to that dashboard, right? I just say, okay, I want it that we need a dashboard that can show maybe details of how much transactions we made in a day and all of that. But now as a designer, I know that before you reach that dashboard, there are some screens I need to see or my users need to see, right? So maybe there is a splash screen, the very first screen I see when I'm on the app, okay, and then maybe the onboarding screens that will tell me everything about this app, how we want to help you make 1 million naira, how your money is safe with us and all that. Then maybe you need to create an account. But now as a client, I may not even know you need to give me all of this, but in my mind, I know that, okay, this is what needs to be there. So as a designer, your ability to know, okay, the flow from the beginning to the end, or from the beginning to where we want, or from the beginning to what we want our users to do, that's like the user flow. So we can actually call it workflow or like user flow. So that's a skill too that one needs to have. So I don't know if that's answered your question. Sorry, something is choking me.
Yeah, that answered my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Okay, I'm seeing iPhone. Unmute and ask your question.
iPhone.
He's probably not on the call anymore.
Oh, okay. Okay, boy, I can see his hands are raised. Okay, I guess we don't have any other question, so we could just go to the task we have for this week. Week 1 task. Okay, so your task is to read and summarize the first 2 chapters of a book which I would
Hi,
share.
Chi.
Okay.
I think you have someone else, Joseph.
Okay. Okay, Joseph, you could speak. Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, I
I
can
wanted,
hear you.
given the fact that we're learning code design, how
I'm
hard is it?
sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't get your question. Can you start again, please?
It is for someone who have no prior knowledge to
Who has no
design,
what?
about
Sorry.
like basic knowledge of design. So I would like a bit of any kind of design. Like how, what are the challenges? I don't know. You can talk about that.
Favor, I don't know if you heard him clearly. I didn't really hear him well.
Joseph, you're not audible enough.
Sorry, Joseph, could you say it one more time? Joseph?
I think you should just go ahead.
Okay, I could just proceed. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to scroll through the chat to see if someone dropped any question. Okay, I doubt. Okay, but the book would be shared. Like I'll share it in the resources channel. And the slide would also be shared. Yeah, I'll share it. Okay. Okay, our task for this week is to read and summarize the first 2 chapters of Refactoring UI. It's a great book for designers, both beginners, intermediates, like everyone, including myself. Okay, so our task is to read and summarize the first 2 chapters. It would really help us in our visual design skill. Okay, and also the second task is based on your understanding. So I guess we all attended the last class, and Favor talked about good and bad UX, and lots of feedback were gotten in that class. So based on our understanding on what a good and a bad experience is on a digital interface, the task is to research and audit any 3 platforms of your choice. Google is your friend, like we always say, and we've all had experiences on different platforms, right? So the task is to research and audit any of these 3 platforms. So 3 platforms that has a good UX to you as a designer. Okay, so based on all what we've talked about great experiences, we've talked about good and bad UX, we've also talked about design principles. So we know when a design is faulted, okay? So based on everything we've learned in this first week, our task is to research and audit on any of the 3 platforms. 3 that has a good user experience or user interface, awesome, both of them. And then 3 that has a bad UX. And then you don't just choose, you need to explain in details your rationale behind your choices. So as a designer, this is a very good task because when you start applying for roles, like they could ask you to audit their present design. So you need to think, okay, so why is this design like this? How do I feel it could be better? So that's your task for this week. if we have any questions on that task. Okay, I could see some. Let me.
Question, please.
Okay.
I should go on.
Yes, please.
The books I'm talking about, how do we get the books? I'm new to this, so I want to know how to get the books to read.
Okay. So the books will be shared on the channel. Faith, I think the resources, is there a resources channel?
Okay.
Yes, there is.
Okay, so yeah, we'll share the book on the resources channel, the refactoring UI book, because some of you may not be able to get access to it, but we'll share the book.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Leo, we can see your hand. Do you have a question?
Yeah, please, I do have a question. Please, you made mention of getting three. Is it? Are we talking about the digital interface? We're talking about. Are we talking about web face interfaces, or we're going to do apps too? Apps included?
Yeah, both web and app, whichever one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So any of them, either a web or an application, but it shouldn't just be web alone, or like you can, that's why we have three. So it could be two web, one app, whichever of them is fine. We just want to see your ability to audit platforms and know which is good or bad UX. That's it. Thank you.
Please, one more time. So one more question.
Okay.
When are we to submit the task? Is there a timeline to it or a time frame to it?
Favor, do you know, is there, I think it should be this weekend. Sorry, 1 minute, let's confirm.
The deadline. The deadline will be communicated.
Okay, yeah, the deadline will be communicated. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Vincent, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question, but somebody have already asked it. I wanted to ask if the assignment will be on either web or app, but you've answered the question already. So I'm okay.
Okay, blessing, Taiwo.
Yes, good evening.
Hello. Good evening. Okay, yes, good evening, blessing. Please proceed.
Sorry, please, are we doing this task as a group or individually?
No, it's individually. It's individually. Like,
okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you too.
Mish.
All right. My question goes this way. Good evening, all. Sorry, and thank you for the class so far. First of all, when we get to, do we get to redesign the app, or we just state the aesthetics of what we think is lacking in the app and what we think should be added? And then do we get to submit it on a Google document? How is that? Or that will be communicated to us too, right?
Okay, I think let's do it this way. It's just going to be let's just be a mobile application. So we could just have a singularity of purpose. So let it just be mobile. Please, mobile. Maybe some other time we could look at web, okay? But just for mobile, like whatever mobile app or on a mobile interface. So your question is how it's going to be submitted. You could take screenshots. Okay, you could take screenshots if it's allowed. Okay, we have Netflix, you can't take screenshots. Okay, but just take screenshots and you just put it in a Google document. You can write your rationale why you think this is a good UX. Maybe, okay, so let me just give us expo, right? Okay, so let's say I have this screen and I think it is a good user interface, or it's a good user interface. So I could just give my rationale. I feel the call to action button is legible. Okay, I feel the microcopy is correct. So microcopy means text. I think I saw that question. So like whatever text you see on a digital interface, it could be a website or a mobile app. Like as designers, we call it microcopy. Let's not just be using only text. Okay, so that's the meaning of a microcopy. So you can say, okay, maybe the text or the microcopy is easy to understand. Like I knew what I had to do, right? So it's easy to understand, maybe easy to navigate, or as the case may be. So you can just give like few screenshots. You're not overloading, but let's just see what you think. So
Sorry,
yeah.
sorry to cut you short. I have a
iPhone, is
question.
that iPhone speaking?
Yes.
Okay, iPhone, proceed. But sorry, who asked the question? I don't know if I was able to answer.
Okay, it's Mish. I was the one that asked the question. So
Okay.
far you've given me all the answers, so it's okay. Until when it's sent on the group, then I'll get to know what to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you too. Okay, so I'm seeing a question here. I'm hearing web or app. I'm confused. Okay, so let's just say a mobile app. A mobile app, okay? Let's say a mobile application, whatever, a mobile application in your phone. Okay, so let me just give a little explanation. So we have web apps and we have mobile apps. A web app can work on, I don't want to overload us with information, but let me just share, okay? So a web app can also work on a mobile phone, but it is not a mobile app. So a mobile app is what you can download from your Google Play Store or your Apple Store, as the case may be. But a web app, you can access it through your browser. Okay, so the task is on a mobile application, like any mobile application. It could be, I don't know, we all have the apps in our phone. So just, it's a free, I'm not telling you go and give an audit on maybe Piggyvest or Carrywise or just anyone at all. So I don't know if that's answered your question, Uzo. Okay, Victor Sunday says, I don't understand the task too. Please explain it. Okay. Okay, so I'll say it again. So based on your understanding on what a good and a bad experience is, okay, so research and audit any three platforms of your choice. Any mobile application. So now we've brought it down to a mobile application, right? So just audit it. Audit in the sense that what do you think is wrong with these websites? Or do you think it is good? So the ones that you feel it has a good experience, please, everybody should not go and bring WhatsApp here because I know WhatsApp is okay. Before I will be seeing WhatsApp, we see so many WhatsApp. Everyone say, I love WhatsApp, I love WhatsApp. So there's still some very good mobile apps out there. Okay. So audit and let's just know three of them that has a good user interface and good user experience. And then the one that you feel has a bad UI UX, okay? And then you give your rationale behind it. You're not just to say, okay, this is good and then this is bad. Why is it good? Why is it bad? So that's where design thinking comes in. I don't know if that's answered who asked that question. Okay. Victor
And we
Sunday.
have one more person.
Okay.
Fermi. Can you unmute and ask your question?
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. My question is concerning the tax 2. Basically, I was thinking, aside the apps that we already have installed on our phones, I download another app from maybe my Play Store or Apple Store, as you have said. Like, can I limit my auditing to just the maybe the onboarding screen or maybe the first two screens that I happen to meet on the newly installed app, or I have to go through the whole process from the onboarding to the normal general interface of the app for my auditing?
Okay, so for your auditing, you may not necessarily go, a mobile application would be very wide and will have lots of user flows. It could be from maybe from the first onboarding screens, there could be something you notice, but I think I get your question. You want to know the length of the audit, if it's going to be from the beginning to the end. Let's say, Favor, what do you think? Should it be like, I didn't think of it in this Should we say 10 screens or 5 screens?
I think 5 is okay.
Okay, 5 screens. And why do I feel they are happy somehow there is not 10 screens? Okay, or should we just get back to them this evening so we can brainstorm with other mentors? So we don't
Okay, so
just, I think
let
that
me come
works.
in. Let me come in here. Okay, so what I would
Okay.
actually say, by default, Ikechukwu is going to say 20 screens by default, but like you said, let's actually take it out of this session and then we'll get back to them. But for me, I'll say 20 screens. That's what I'm going to say, 20.
Sorry, Victor, are you trying to say something? Can you mute yourself, please? Okay, someone is asking the meaning of audit. The meaning of audit. Okay, like I said before you ask a question, you should try and ask Google first, right? It would help you to know better. I'm still going to give you an answer, but just for future references, just ask Google a question. You would learn better, okay? So auditing in the sense that you should choose any application of your choice and make your personal research or findings. How do you think this can be better? Favor talked about good UX and bad UX. Last class, I think we also talked about design principles and, all the fundamentals, when we know something is disobeying a principle, and all that. So from the knowledge you gathered in this 1 week, make your personal findings and audit. It could be a flow or a screen. Let's just know how you feel, why you think this is bad or why you think this is good. Then you give it to us in a Google document. Okay, so who is crying here? Okay.
I have a question.
5 screens, 10 screens. Yes, please proceed.
Please, I want to get it right. The 20 screens they are talking about, is it 20 screens per platform?
Keys, what do you have to say?
Okay, so thank you very much. Hold on. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Now, please, any questions regarding the task? I think we can actually, this should be the last. We're going to actually send you your task on the channel, and that would be self-explanatory. Okay, the number of screens required and the platform or whatever, that will be presented on the Slack channel. If you have any questions, use the thread, please. Thank you very much.
Okay. I guess so. At the end, I would just also remind all of us again that the major reason you're here is to grow. So don't see 20 screens or 30 screens as too much. See it as an avenue for you to grow. You're human. You have the ability to stretch. So even if we say 30 screens, like, you can do it. If your mind tells you, I don't want to turn into a motivational speaker this night, but just strive to be the best, okay? Maximize this opportunity. Even if we tell you 100 screens, you can do it. Trust me. All right. So thank you, everyone. And any further questions could be shared on Slack. Okay, so we'll be sharing these slides too. All right. Thank you all. ITs, I don't know, or Favor, do you have any other thing to say before we end the class?
Not really, but just to tell them that all their questions will be answered on the Slack channel. So they should just feel free to ask their questions.
Okay. All right.
So thank you very much.
So that's the end of today's class. See you all on Tuesday. Thank you.